A common question that gets asked when starting to work with crystals is if there is a preference on which type of crystal you should work with. Should you only work with raw crystals, polished crystals? This is a little bit of a debate in the crystal world as there are a lot of opinions on this. Is there a difference in energy between the two? Is one better than the other? These are the types of questions we're going to dive into in today's video. Hello, welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Courtney and my channel is all about connecting with crystals, learning about their metaphysical benefits, and really just becoming aware of this unique energy that's available to all of us. So thank you for joining me. Today's video is going to be short and sweet. I'm going to go over the basic principles of what a raw crystal is, what a polished crystal is, really my opinion on the two different types of crystals, and give you some examples of when you would use some raw crystals rather than polished crystals and vice versa. Alrighty, so let's dive into the difference between a raw crystal and a polished crystal. So a raw crystal, I have an example here with a blue lace agate crystal. A raw crystal is from the earth and it is unaltered by man. So raw crystals have that, kind of rough texture to them. They look like a rock that you would find outside when you're just taking a walk. And they just have this natural look to them. Now, sometimes raw crystals, depending on their crystal structure, they can grow in a shape. So sometimes we can see raw crystals that are in shapes, and although we might be like, oh, this was cut, it's, maybe this was altered by man, it's not. It's the way that the crystal grows. We see this with fluorite. It has like a cubic structure, so it naturally will grow in a shape. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out about raw crystals. Now, looking at polished crystals, I have this polished version of a blue lace agate right here. We see that this is still a crystal from the earth, but it has been altered by man. So when it goes through a process of getting polished, they will go through this, I don't know what it's technically called, but like this machine that is a water machine, and it gets tumbled. There's like this spinning wheel. I've seen videos of this like spinning wheel, and they like hold the crystal underneath it, and they're constantly polishing it and making it shiny and removing this external layer of the stone so that it becomes more condensed and just like showing like the inside of the crystal, if that makes sense. Now, I just want to quickly mention, when you are starting to work with crystals and you are kind of debating, should I be only working with raw, with polished, does it matter? I want you to know that I want you to have an open mind in this process. There are a lot of crystal teachers out there that are crystal rawists, and they only believe in working with raw stones. Now, this is really up to you. Your crystal practice is so individual to what you are looking to accomplish and what you are intuitively attracted to. So don't cancel out polished crystals just because there is this chatter about raw crystals being superior. It really is up to you to make that choice. So really getting into my opinion on this subject, the difference between polished and raw, which is better, all that stuff. How I like to think of it is that raw and polished crystals, they do emit a little bit of a different frequency, I would say. I feel like when I hold a raw crystal, I feel like this energy is very inward. It's very introspective, and it feels very potent to me, right? When I hold a polished crystal, the energy feels a little bit different. Not that it feels less than or anything like that. It just feels like a more external energy, an outward sense of energy that I'm feeling. Again, when you're working with raw and polished crystals, I want you to know that both crystals are still going to emit that same metaphysical benefit, same properties. There's no difference in raw versus polished there. It really is just your ability to sense the energy and see which one you may want to vibe with more. To unpack this a little bit further, I have an example here with black tourmaline. I have a raw black tourmaline and a polished black tourmaline. Now, Personally, I notice the energy a lot more when I'm holding a raw black tourmaline. You know, when I have a polished black tourmaline, it just feels a little bit different. A crystal tip for you out there when you are out and about going crystal shopping, you know, always be open to what your intuition is guiding you, right? So maybe you see a black tourmaline and you see it in the raw form and you pick it up and you feel that energy, it feels good, you're attracted to it. Maybe you see a polished stone next to it that you also are like, oh wow, this looks really beautiful, like I want to pick this one up. You know, you hold that one and you also still feel like this sense of energy from a polished stone. You know, keep that in mind. You know, take note of what you are attracted to. Like when you're out and about, like, do you feel like you are drawn to more raw crystals? Do you feel like you're drawn to more polished crystals? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's really simply an observation to what your energy is connecting with. So I'd love to finish out this video with some examples of when you would use a raw crystal versus a polished crystal, some like, you know, simple crystal practices that you may already be, you know, incorporating in your life. The first one being meditation. So meditation is when we are really letting go. We are connecting with our conscious, our higher conscious, and we can influence the energy when we bring in certain crystals, you know, place them on our body and really connect with that energy. Now, I feel like when I do my crystal meditations, I tend to gravitate towards polished crystals. I really like utilizing crystal shapes that are polished. There is a sense of this external energy, this outward energy that I feel that I'm connecting with something. Now, I don't want to say that you shouldn't meditate with raw crystals, because raw crystals are definitely so potent and definitely advised in crystal meditations. I just feel like a little bit more of a sense of heightened energy when I am meditating with a polished crystal. But with that, you know, you can meditate with either or. This is just my personal opinion. Next step would be when you are writing out your intentions. Maybe you are doing a little manifestation ritual or anything like that. I really recommend working with a raw quartz crystal. I feel like those are so potent and so powerful. You know, if you have one in your hand while you are setting those intentions, you are really why can't I say this word? Maximizing the energy that you are sending out, and also visualizing. You know, when we are manifesting, there is this like internal visionary, you know, a feeling, this sense, you know, we are in that moment, we visualize. So I feel like raw crystals can be a little bit more of a help in that sense. Next up, one of my favorite crystal practice, which is crystal gridding. I personally crystal grid a lot, and a lot of my crystals that I make crystal grids with are polished. I feel like there is a little bit more of a focused, structured energy when working with polished crystals in crystal gridding. Again, not to knock raw crystals. You can definitely have, you know, a raw crystal as your center stone, but I think there is this order and this structure with the polished crystals and building your crystal grid that just feels really good and is super helpful in calling in that intention and just working with that crystal's energy, those crystals' energy. Let's talk decor. So is there a preference on polished or raw crystals for your decor pieces? To be honest, I feel like I tend to gravitate more towards polished pieces for decor. I just feel like it fills the room. You know, I have a video talking about crystal shapes, and you can definitely utilize working with polished crystal shapes in your home to bring about a certain energy. I'll definitely link that video here if you want to check it out. It's in the same vein as what we've talked about today, but I would say crystal decor, I'm leaning more towards polished, but then again, you know, those natural crystals look gorgeous in any space. And lastly, just to have a crystal to connect with on a daily basis, I would say, you know, raw crystals, depending if it's small, it could be a way to feel that energy fast. You know, you might be having a bad day and you want to pick yourself up, you want to revamp your energy. raw crystals can really help in that sense of just like revitalizing you. You know, they have this potent, strong energy and you can just bounce back up to feeling good again. Alrighty guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this subject, talking about raw versus polished crystals. I would love to know down in the comments down below if you have a preference towards raw or polished crystals. Again, there are no like correct answers here. It's all based on your opinion and what you feel like you want to work with, what energy you are enticing in your life. So definitely drop down below what your favorite is. If you are like half and half, like you have a mixed, variety, mixed collection, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you liked today's video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you are new here, I would love it if you subscribed to my channel, especially if you are a crystal newbie. I have a lot of resources here for you to keep learning about crystals and join the community, join the conversations. I'd love to have you here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you in my next one.